So we're going to dive into team stats and individual player stats for the Washington game. As I mentioned, 4 losses of 5 points or less. Each of the last 6 games for the Giants have been 1 possession games. So, for everyone saying we're the Jets, you can't see the same for the Jets. And these are against high quality teams. You look at the schedule that we've played so far. Steelers are a playoff team. Rams could be a playoff team. Bears should be a playoff team. They're all in the hunt. 49ers would probably have been in the playoff hunt had they not been devastated and decimated by injuries. I got to fix the freaking shades right now, dude. I got massive sunlight coming in hot. Look at this. Whoa. Okay. So, almost every team, with the exception of maybe, the NFC East, and, we played the Cowboys when they were as close to good as they've ever been, considering what's happened since then. But, we've got the Bucs. I mean, the Bucs could be threatening to take the NFC South title, although they just got swept by the Saints. So that could be, they're looking more and more like a wild card. But still, you haven't played a lot of shit teams so far, other than the NFC East. And the NFC East is, is its own thing. I don't even know how to describe the NFC East. A lot of people are calling it a dumpster fire. And I'm like, is it just solely based on records, or is it watching the gameplay? And it's like, yeah, this Washington game was super sloppy. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the first half was just like fumble, interception, fumble, turnover, interception, misplays. It just was not hard to watch for me because I'm so accustomed to it. But I can see how an outsider would be like, wow, NFC East football stinks. That said, we still play tough outside the division as well. So I don't know what it is with the NFC East. It's just like we play up and down to our competition. Jabril Peppers with a huge interception towards the end of the game. Logan Ryan with a huge interception towards the end of the game. 5 takeaways total, 0 turnovers, even though Daniel Jones did fumble twice. Once was out of bounds. The other one was, he's, I guess, closer to midfield, and luckily was able to get back on it. But it's still somewhat of an issue with Daniel. I don't think he's quite over it yet, although he did get blindside hit by a blitzing corner, I think, toward later in the game. Second half, and he held onto the ball. That's in the past that he probably might have coughed that up and it would have been a scoop and score. So that's good to see. But 5 takeaways is huge. I mean, Washington's they have such a great pass defense. That front 4, front 7 is pretty decent. Especially the front 4, Kerrigan, Sweat, Chase Young. It just seems like, their defense is where it needs to be. Their offense is kind of meh. Even though they consistently somehow put up big yards and big yards against us. Our defense is now allowing a lot of explosive plays up and down the field, which is unfortunate, but it's a whole bend, don't break mentality. They've managed to give up yardage, but not points. And I think that's what matters most. It's concerning when you're giving up huge chunks of yardage to Logan Thomas and Cam Sims and all these players that just, don't make headlines usually. Washington outgained us by like 52 yards, passing yards, 365 passing yards, but only 37 rushing yards. The Giants have meanwhile, we rushed for 166. We almost rushed for more yards than we passed for. Giants have rushed for 100 plus yards and allowed fewer than 100 rushing yards in 4 consecutive games, which is the longest such streak since 2010. And Giants only allowed 37 yards on the ground. As I said, it's the lowest allowed in 7 years. I mean, you weren't seeing these kind of statistics being thrown at you in 2019, 2018, or 2017, possibly 2016, but we're dating back to like 2011, 2013, some of these stats that we're putting up defensively. And sure, maybe some of these offenses are pretty bottom of the barrel, but the fact that, you take care of business against the teams that you should, and that's a good thing, especially Tampa. I don't think Tampa ran roughshod on us, and they're, more of an league average type offense. I mean, we did allow 8 yards per play on average, but that's, there were a lot of big plays that skewed that average here and there. That first fumble on the first drive was comical. It was something you would see in like the NFL bloopers reel back on like VHS with like, what's his name? Mel. Was it the voice of Bugs Bunny? Not Mel Hine. Mel Brooks? Whoever it is, like voicing the bloopers. I think that it was reminiscent of that. And luckily we got on it. And then, the punt return for that was muffed, which was Joe Judge broke it down in the Joe Judge report, which they had like Cam Brown as like a third gunner, 10 yards back kind of lined up almost like in between where the punter would be and the up man, and then running towards the line of scrimmage as soon as the ball is snapped. And so as soon as the ball is kicked, he's at the line of scrimmage going full speed. I thought that was an interesting take. So now you have 3 gunners converging on the ball as opposed to 2, and that might have pressured, the punt returner to muff it. But we get the ball and we put points on the board. And yeah, so the offense still bottom third, bottom quarter of the league in terms of numbers. But when you can get takeovers and turn them into points, that's always a good thing. So if we can continue to do that, and there was an article, I think it was New York Post or something, that was saying, if this offense can just get to average across the board, this is a playoff team. But they have to get to average. And they've definitely improved in certain areas, but they have to take a couple more steps in order for this team to really be considered a threat. We did allow 5 sacks. So what's weird about this is, the people are commending the offensive line, for being better in pass protection and being better in run blocking, but yet we still give up 5 sacks. Yikes. And what's happening now is you're seeing something that you don't see from a lot of teams. I can't recall any teams that really do this as much as the Giants have in the recent past, but Matt Parrott getting a lot more snaps, mixing it in at left tackle, at right tackle, spelling Andrew Thomas, spelling Cameron Fleming. And you're seeing, you're going to see more of, like, now that Will Hernandez is coming back off the COVID list, you're going to see him slotted in at left guard. You might see Shane Lemieux go in at right guard for Zeitler. Zeitler might be a better pass blocker than Lemieux, but Lemieux is a better run blocker. Maybe that's something, you can shift with Zeitler at left and then Lemieux, they're playing around with the flexibility. And normally it's kind of counter to what you've seen on offensive lines. It would be, let's keep the 5 same guys healthy all 16 games, playing all 100 snaps so they can get some cohesion, some chemistry, and gel together. The judge has completely said, no, we're going to play to our players' strengths. And if it's a run play, we're going to have these guys in. If it's a pass play, we're going to have these players in. And we're going to, on certain situations, we're going to play to this situation with our best lineup. Interesting radical take. And so far it's somewhat paid off. It might be, I watched a video today from Bob Papa and Carl Banks and Howard Cross, and they're saying, well, there's pros and cons to it. One is, are you telegraphing the play by who you bring in on the offensive line? So if Lemieux's in, is it run play? If Zeitler is in, is it pass play? If you bring in Parrott, is it pass? If it's Thomas, is it a run? So that's what you have to look out for. But I think you can also use that to your advantage and say, Lemieux's in, oh, it's a run, play action, boot, boom, big play. So you can start playing little mind games and tricks here and there. And I think that's Belichickian in philosophy. And that's, Joe Judge is a student of the game, but also a great teacher. So there's also another great article with Patrick Graham talking about, how he was basically just super sullen and depressed on the bench after the Eagles loss, and pretty much putting 100% of the onus and the blame on himself, for the collapse there in the fourth quarter, saying, like, I am a teacher and they're my students and I taught them to play, and I should have called, and I let them down because I should have been calling better plays and schemes towards the end of that game. And I didn't teach them, how to respond in those situations. So, it's a learning season, but man, it's a very encouraging season across the board, at least for the defense and special teams. Offense is still trying to find its footing, but, I think Jabril Peppers looks good. Logan Ryan, I hope to bring him back next year if possible. You have McKinney coming back. You have the young rookies getting more playing time. So TJ Brunson got a couple snaps. Tate Crowder's coming back. So I think the defense is in a really good spot. It's just a matter of, like, can our offense turn the corner? I know we say that every week, but it really does feel like we're getting closer and closer. It's not, there's no spike. If you're looking at a graph or a chart, it's pretty much like just nice and steady. And you figure by the end of the season, we'll be hitting our stride. And then hopefully we win the title. And then who knows, we have an upset in the wild card round. Vincent Rapisardi tweeted that Andrew Thomas is the 10th best run block win rate among offensive tackles. And, this was kind of what the game plan was, I think, before the season started, before COVID hit, was like hog mollies, right? Let's ground and pound. Let's really win on the line of scrimmage in the run game, and that will open up the passing game. And, as much as, like, our offense does not look good on paper from a number standpoint, I mean, can you just take a moment to look back at what we were doing in week 1 with Saquon, going 15 carries for 9 yards or something like that. 9 carries, 15 yards, whatever. And now we're racking up 160 some odd yards against arguably one of the better defensive fronts in football. And we did it against the Bucs too, who also have a great defensive front, JPP and Ndamukong Suh. So for me, I'm very pleased with how the run game is coming around. I mean, Alfred Morris, 9 carries for 67 yards. What the actual F, you know? And I don't want to bash Alfred because I think it's a great game. I think he had some good runs. There was like one run where it would have been nice if he had just tried to stay in bounds and get some more down the field. But you know, it's nitpicky Neal coming out full blast. Third down efficiency is getting a little bit better. We were 40% on third down efficiency. We owned time of possession by a cool am I reading this right? 13 minutes. I mean, we dominated the first half. 20-3, we dominated the first half. And then, the second half, we had some missed opportunities on offense, and the defense had just some mental lapses in coverage that allowed some big gains.